Hey, it's Jeff Cannata with another newest, latest, best mini. It's been a long time here on newest, latest, best, but I had to come back to the channel and talk to you about Avengers Endgame. This is it. This is the culmination of everything of my life. It feels like, and I have had video reviews of many of the Marvel films leading up to this point, and this is it. This is the climax. This is the peak. This is the punctuation mark at the end of the Infinity Saga, which represents over 10 years of movies, over 20 of them, most of them real good, a few subpar, but not very many. And I think this represents the single greatest achievement in the history of cinema. And I know a lot of people hear that hyperbole and think it's insane, but I defy you to find something that was more difficult to pull off, more improbable, to start with one film, Iron Man, with a pretty unproven director and certainly a star. It's hard to remember back then, but it was a star that did not carry big tentpole movies at that time. Robert Downey Jr. was not a big action star. He didn't. He was an unconventional choice for Tony Stark. He was not what people were talking about Tom Cruise as Iron Man for a while. And then this movie came out and it changed everything, and it put into place something that grew organically over many, many films. And it is extraordinary the level of talent that has been assembled, that has been cobbled together over all these different properties, all these different IP, all these different characters that coexist in the same universe. And there's only been, what, two major recasts over that decade plus of time. Ed Norton, recast the Bruce Banner role, and the Rhodes character, Rhodey, being recast. Those are really the only two actors that over this huge long period, it's been consistent, it's been high quality, it's been satisfying, and it has put into place each film, of course, whatever you think of their individual levels of quality or even their cumulative variety, if you don't feel like there's enough variety among the themes, if you felt like it was doing it the same thing over and over again, that's fine. That's your opinion. I have loved this journey, and I have found that each film has been satisfying in its own right, with a journey for characters in that in the context of that movie, fighting against whatever it is they're fighting against in those individual films, and yet also weaving this tale, this meta tale of the tapestry of all the films, of the universe as a whole, and then leading up to the first Avengers film when we brought a lot of these characters together and we established the fact that they have to come together to fight the really, really big things. But even that first Avengers movie was just a stepping stone on the path to where we are now, which is all of this stuff building up and leading to the Infinity War, which, as we all know, ended in one of, I think, the most dramatic cliffhangers of all time. It hit me like a punch to the gut. I know a lot of you were cynical. I heard plenty of it on my socials, on my Twitter stream, etc. Plenty of people were not affected as I was. I was an emotional wreck after Infinity War. It felt like an amazing moment, an audacious, bold, incredible thing for a company as large as Disney and an IP as powerful as these Marvel superheroes to do, to kill them off, many of them, and to leave the movie theater on what is their big tentpole summer film on a downer where the bad guy wins. And I thought that was just extraordinary. And it made me anticipate this movie, this Endgame, this punctuation mark, more than any film I can remember since maybe episode 1. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, with no spoilers, it is satisfying for me on every level. I am a Marvel zombie from way back. I grew up imagining what a movie series like this might be, and never in my wildest dreams did I think we would get something this high quality, this sustained, this consistent, over this long of a time, at this this level of production with, I mean, superheroes weren't mainstream when I was a kid, man. I was a nerd when nerd was nerd. It was like an impossible dream to think that we would have anything even remotely as good as the first Marvel movie, or first Avengers movie, let alone the Infinity Saga, the Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, I should have pulled it out for this video. I have my old Ron Lim signed cover of Silver Surfer 50 with Thanos on the cover holding the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, I loved this stuff. This is my generation of comic book dumb, right? This is, and I get the sense that a lot of the people making these movies now, Kevin Feige and his team, are sort of that same generation of comic book fan, that the sort of early 90s, when a crossover event really meant something. And they're doing that with these movies, right? And this film, this punctuation mark, this end to the Infinity Saga, I found to be as satisfying as I could have ever hoped. Coming out of Endgame, we all have these expectations. Coming out of Infinity War, we all have these expectations. We all have these thoughts as to where the series might be going, what they might be doing, how they're going to dig themselves out of this hole they've put themselves in with this massive event, with the snapping of the Infinity Gauntlet. And the way they end up doing that is so much better than I could have hoped. And all of you, I know, if you have not seen the movie yet and you're watching this, all of you who were skeptical and thought it's going to feel cheap, the payoff isn't going to feel good enough, we're going to bring characters back because I know they have movies coming up and it's all going to feel so cheap. I can assure you, nothing is shortcutted, nothing feels cheap, there is emotional weight in this movie. I was bawling my eyes out within the first 2 minutes of this film, and I pretty much didn't stop throughout. You can hear my daughter crying in the background. She's there to provide texture for the emotional weight of what I'm talking about. This is what I was like in the movie, just there she goes, bawling my eyes out, because the movie takes time. It is a 3-hour film, and everything feels essential. It takes its time to have those emotional scenes, to really allow the power and weight of what has happened with that snap to land and to be important and to be powerful and to be essential and to not just be wiped away in an instant. It is an extraordinarily bold move, and it's a movie that is confident, that understands that we care. We've built up care organically over a decade with these characters, some of us even longer in the comic book pages, but on the film screen, we've had a decade with these characters. We've loved them. We've seen them go through things. We've seen them infight with each other. There's an established, earned care we have for these characters, and the filmmakers understand that, and they don't just use that trick at the end of Infinity War as a cheap gimmick. It is really invested in and is really explored what the ramifications of that are. And that emotional weight that brings us into sort of the next phase of this movie, where it changes tones and does all kinds of fun things. It's a comedy, and it's a drama, and it's a big crazy action film all at once. I will not spoil anything for you, but I was an emotional wreck throughout. I think the end of this film is one of the great film saga endings. And the fact that it is a punctuation mark, it really does bring all of the things to a satisfying conclusion. All of the people we care for, all of the things that we've been thinking about. It doesn't, for once, doesn't just set up the next thing. It really stands and says, boom, we have completed a cycle. We have completed the cycle of this story. And that to me is just so to be applauded, because it flies in the face of everything that we assume about these kinds of companies, which they're just there to get your next dollar. And yeah, there are more Marvel movies coming out, and I'll be there watching them. But if there was never another Marvel movie that was ever made, this grouping of 20 some odd movies, 22 I think it is, movies, is I think the most incredible filmic achievement of all time. That one consistent universe with one consistent group of actors, and some of the finest actors of our age, with some of the finest filmmakers of our age, making popcorn entertainment that also has heart, wants to do things to you emotionally. It's not just there to excite and to create set pieces, although there are plenty of those in this movie as well. There's plenty of CG and excitement and craziness and over the top. It, it really has more going on than that. It really wants you to feel, and feel I did. Feel I continue to do. I think back on it and I tear up about this movie. It is powerful. It's extraordinary. I feel lucky to have lived at a time where I got to watch these movies come out sequentially, and they weren't already all out for me to sort of pick and choose. That I went through that tale that they told, and I thought about what could come next, and here it is all building up to this moment, and it's so satisfying, and it respects the audience so much. It respects our love for these characters so much. I'm excited for all of you to see it. I'm excited to see it again. I'm excited that we live in a time where this could be possible. It is the impossible dream that I dreamt as a young boy. I mean, I'm in awe that they pulled it off and they did it, and I'm so glad I was here to watch it. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Let me know. This isn't the last NLB mini, but it certainly feels like my punctuation mark as well. Thanks for watching.